Good morning. We've got a lot of different noises going on today. I've started the laundry, so that'll probably beep at some point. We've got thunderclouds going over, but no rain. Rain's not going to come until like 7 o'clock tonight, so, you know, whatever. It may have rained overnight, I don't know. I wasn't awake. And then we've got the lawnmowers. It's Wednesday. The people that bring the rain and the clotted up grass, which, to my understanding, and someone told me this yesterday, the neighbors have been complaining about the clotting up of the grass because every Wednesday that they've mowed since they've started, it's rained. So, and that's just the price you pay for a schedule, right? It's just, you know, they're scheduled to be here. They need to do stuff on time. So they have the equipment to mow through the wet, and they can't get all the grass up. And there are spots where, you know, there is dead grass, not like the grass planted dead, but mowed up grass that kind of sit there that they don't get, and then they kind of sit there. And, you know, I mean, if you want it mowed on a certain day at a certain height, and you don't want them to skip mowing days, this is what you get. It doesn't bother me. It bothers them, apparently, a lot. So here is, God, Luke, why the long face? This is the twin Sun Tiramisu, which I bought along with the Wookiee cookie. It does smell really nice. It's got a really nice cocoa kind of and caramel kind of smell to it. Awaken your taste buds with notes of mascarpone, cocoa, and bold coffee. I mean, it does smell like a creamy candy, but I've never really gotten a nose full of mascarpone, so I guess I don't really know. 35, so we can do 500 grams of water today. That sounds good. It is a very candy smelling coffee. Even the candy bar coffee that I bought from Bones that was part of the Fallout series, there's 3 Fallout coffees, it doesn't smell nearly as candy as this does. It's very interesting. So we're gonna add that. No need to spritz because these beans are anti-static cling. I'm gonna take it up to a little bit of probably a medium fine, right about here. I mean, the higher you go, the finer it gets. And I don't know if this will, it'd be interesting to see this in an espresso. Maybe someday I'll have a Bones coffee that I can put through an espresso machine. I don't own an espresso machine. So, and they're like pretty expensive. So it's just not in the cards at this point. So let us grind. All right, like I said, very, very, very little static. And I think most of this static comes from yesterday I passed through some neutral coffee to kind of clean out the burrs, because whenever I do one of these coffees, if I do something different the next day, sometimes there's a little lingering taste. So I try to pass through a neutral coffee through the grinder in order to try to get out all of the particulates as much as I can, because I can sweep this thing out to a certain point, but I cannot get down very far into the mechanism. So there's always some retention. So it's just one of the nicest things that I can do for this thing is just pass a neutral coffee through it. Usually just kind of twist it all the way one way and then twist it all the way the other to lengthen and shorten the burr distance in order to try to get every nook and cranny that I can. And it seems to work out. Very little taste retention when I do that, especially since it's just a neutral medium roast coffee that I put through it. So, ew, I didn't realize how nasty that was. So, it is Pride Month. Happy Pride Month to everyone, not to just the folks that celebrate, but to everybody. I was kind of talking about different little stories that made me. There was a particular story, I think I may have mentioned it once, but I don't know if I went into detail. I worked at a hard rock radio station, 99.7 The Blitz. We went everywhere. When I was in the promotions department, we had a Hummer. They still have the Hummer, but they have like this H1 Hummer that was really cool and fun to drive and broke down at least twice twice on me. There was one day it stopped in traffic and would not move again, and they had to figure out how to get it the hell out of there. That was an interesting time. Anyway, so as we went everywhere, one of those everywheres that we went were strip clubs. And there used to be at least 5 in Columbus, generally within the Outer Belt. The very northernmost one, whose name I don't remember anymore, it's long gone. It's something else now. I remember they used to advertise Hulk Hogan's Little Person Wrestling. And they didn't use the words little person. It was, we passed by it when they were advertising that, and it was really off-putting. Not that the whole experience wasn't off-putting. Anyway, that was definitely very off-putting. Anyhow, I'm waffling. So there's a place called Columbus Gold, and we were doing football giveaways. We were probably paired up with a beer company, maybe Coors Light, maybe Budweiser. Usually it was one of the two of those. And we would go out and we would do football promotions. Well, it was the middle of the day. For some reason, we had this promotion there. I probably was a freebie. Sometimes when they bought spots on the radio, if they bought enough spots or they reached a certain mark, we would give the advertiser a free promotion. So, we were probably out there for that. So we were out there at a strip club, which I was already didn't want to be there. I was not out to anyone other than maybe myself. No one, didn't talk to anyone about it. I was still, I don't know, I may have been 23, 24. This was 2002, 2001. So maybe I was around 24. I was well out of college. So we're at this club. And I'm already as uncomfortable as I'll get out. I don't want to be there. But I have to be there for 2 hours. And so I was just trying not to bother because people were coming up on the stage, and everything was curtained off, but the curtains weren't big enough to cover all the windows. So you would see streaks of sunlight coming in, so you could actually see the club as it would be in daylight, and you don't really generally want to see some of those places in daylight. Oh crap, I didn't zero it. All right, we'll mark that as 80 grams because that's normally what I put in there. And then we'll just add another 500 because I had 35 grams of coffee in there. That's 7 grams of coffee to 100 grams of water, so 35 grams would be 500 grams of water. So I think my math is pretty sound. Anyhow, and this is flavored, so I could probably go over by 100 grams and it would still taste the same. So I'm sitting there, whenever we do promo, I'd stand up, we'd give away prizes, and if you can imagine the people that are at a strip club at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, I don't know if you're able to imagine the people that are at a strip club at noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was something the 80s sleaze movies did not prepare me for. It was a sight to behold. And like I said, I only wanted to be there the 2 hours, and then I wanted to tear down, go home, and take 3 showers. And that's nothing against women who strip. I am a firm believer that that is work. And if it is something that you need to do or want to do in order to get to a place, that's fine. I'm not against that at all. At all. It's not for me, but I'm not against that kind of thing. And I don't even know, does that even go as far as being sex work? Being naked like that? I guess if, they should be protected. They should be protected regardless. But I think they had some bouncers there that were pretty big, so there wasn't much to worry about. I'm sitting there, we're doing our thing, and the person, the DJ, was a lady. She was there. She was all about it. She was excited to be there, which, good. because that shows, you know, that value to the club. You know, hey, you know, these people are here, they want to be here, you know, they're excited to be here, and, you know, let's spend more money with the radio station. That's basically what that is, and the entire point. So, and like I said, the DJ was a lady, very gung-ho about being there, very blitz demographic, and she brought this lady over. Very lovely lady. She was, I believe she was in a librarian outfit, had big glasses. And again, she very attractive, as I am able to judge attractive women, very attractive. She said, "Hey, Matt, sit down." And I'm like, "Why?" And she said, I bought you a lap dance. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you what? And this is before the concept of permission or that sort of a thing. I can't think of the exact word. I'll flash it up on the screen because it is a big word and it's a word that everyone should know. I'll probably yell it out in the middle while we're talking about this. But I said, what? What do you mean? She said, well, oh no, just sit down. It'll be fun. And I'm like, I don't want this, but to say that the environment, I mean, it was a very toxic masculinity fed environment there. And if the people that I liked working there were toxic like that, it was inadvertent. It was because of the environment that they had been working in for a long time. The sales department, I hated working with the sales department. Some of those people were the biggest scumballs I had ever met, and they were just awful. Some of them were just people I did not want to hang out with. At least that were selling the blitz side. I think you almost have to be a certain kind of person to be able to go to a strip club and be like, hey, advertise with us. Probably somebody that wants the money. I mean, I guess I should treat them as I treat the exotic dancers that I'm talking about and having kind of ginger about talking about. Anyhow, so it was the whole thing was very toxic, and I knew in the back of my mind, if I said no, why on earth would I want that? She would take that back and then to people there, and there would be things said, and I'm like, I don't want things said, so I just let it happen. And it was 5 minutes that lasted 2 hours. It was the longest amount of time I felt like I ever sat in a chair. And it was unappealing to me. It was gross to me. And it was a complete waste of time to me. She giggled and laughed the entire time. The DJ, she giggled and laughed and thought it was funny. I was mortified. It's like I felt violated. I really did. But I didn't, at the time, I didn't feel like I could express that because of the environment that I had to work in. And it was not fun. I got through it. We finished the whole promotion. It was a 2-hour thing. Packed up the van, and I drove everybody back to the station. And on the way back, I remember this vividly. I said, Stevie, can you never do that again? She said, what? And I said, don't do that again. I did not feel comfortable. I did not like it. It wasn't great. I would prefer you never do it again. And she went, oh, okay. And it's like, no, I need you to understand that you are to never do that again. It was embarrassing, and it was not for me. So, and to somewhat of her credit, she didn't do it again. Because we did other promotions at other houses like that. Other strip clubs like that, up until I was laid off. It was really traumatic, you know? And it's like, I felt really violated. And I know that the young lady was only doing her job, which is why I didn't push her away, which is why I didn't say, ew, gross. You know, I'm like, oh, what the hell? I don't want you anywhere near me. You know, so I just went with the flow. It was just really, really, really gross. I mean, and that's it. That's the story. It was probably the lowest I had ever felt. It was probably the grossest I had ever felt. And I've been to concerts where 60-year-old women were flashing me. And, you know, that's bad enough, to be honest with you. But this was a 5-minute thing that felt like it lasted 2 hours. It would not stop. It was a lot like yesterday. I got my teeth done. So switching gears completely. Wow. We've broken the transfer case, and the transmission is in shatters because we're going from exotic dancing to dentistry. She was probably going to be a dental hygienist, and you know, that's the way she got the money to go to school for that. So, you know, good on her if that's what it was. Yesterday, I had to have 2 fillings repaired, and it was an experience. It's neat. It's a neat flavor. It's really creamy. It's got a really nice finish, and then you've got a great taste of cocoa, and then something that could be mascarpone, that could be the creamy taste that kind of permeates the entirety of the coffee. I mean, it is what it says. It's delicious. It's creamy. It's got cocoa in it. The coffee is really good. It's not bitter. It's nice and it's mellow. I love it. It's great coffee. This is definitely a top 10 pick. I think they have like 16 flavors, and this is definitely a top 10. Maybe I'd put it at like 6 or 7, maybe 6. It's really good. I really enjoy it. And you know, just because something's a 10 doesn't mean that it's bad. So I thought I was going in for 1 filling. He said, no, we're gonna do 2. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So he's like, here's a little numbing agent for the place where we put in the needle. And I'm like, oh, right, needles, okay. We put that little numbing agent in. Tastes like banana. I think it takes effect. I can't tell. And he's like, okay, we're ready. And I'm like, well, if you say so. So and then he takes the needle. And she's like, do you want a short one? No, we'll go with the normal one. And I'm like, can we do the short one, please? So he takes the needle, and I'm closing my eyes. I don't want to see the needle go in my mouth. I don't want anything to do with it. The little light overhead that they shine has just that much reflection in it that I could see some of the work that he had been doing. So it's like I needed to close my eyes completely to not see it. He put that needle in my mouth, and in the beginning it wasn't so bad, but then he jabbed it in so far, electricity started going from the back of my tongue on this side all the way to the tip. It wasn't fire, it wasn't burning, it wasn't ice cold, it was electricity, and it hurt, I guess. And it was one of those things. He had that sucker in there for 15 to 20 seconds, and it felt like a half hour. And and that's how I relate that to the story about the exotic dancer. It was pain, not painful, but embarrassing, which in and of itself can be painful. That's my, before I came out, I was mortified. Consent. That's the word. Consent. I felt like, and I know that I did, hindsight 2020, as a 23-year-old person in the middle of a hard rock station doing promotions, I didn't feel like I had a choice. I now know I do, but in the moment, I was so frightened of what people would think. I was so frightened of the actions that would have been taken. You know, I could have been pulled off of things. I could have been treated differently. I didn't want to be treated differently. So I clammed up and I said, okay. You know, so I guess I gave consent, but I didn't really give consent. It was mortifying. But yeah, the back to the dental thing, it went really well. Other than the anesthetic going in, and I swear, I never felt pain like that in my mouth. He is generally, and it was because it was the back 2 teeth, so he had to go into a different area to hit a different nerve. Normally, he's like, if it's up in here in the front, normally he's like draping my mouth over the needle, and I can't feel a thing. I can't feel a thing. It's always been great. But this time, it was just the worst feeling I had ever felt in my mouth. Since I'd bitten my tongue. I've bitten my tongue many times, but there was a point where I bit my tongue so hard I couldn't talk for 2 days. And that was pretty bad. But this was pretty awful. But go get your teeth checked out and have your teeth taken care of. The 20 seconds of the needle is worth a lifetime of having teeth that work, you know, that don't hurt when you chew or bite or drink or swallow or anything like that. My jaw still hurts a little bit, but he had me cranked, man. The tooth is in the back, so he had to go around the jaw. So he was cranking on my lip this way and telling me to look that way. And it was, it's a wonder I don't have a permanent walkie lip. Anyway, that's my prior to coming out story of complete and total mortification. And I'm sure many of us have stories like that. I would bet a lot of us do. It doesn't have to be that extreme. It just has to be something that you are just embarrassed by. There's no comparing. There's no race. I mean, it's not a competition. If it hurt you deeply, it doesn't matter how it compares to someone else's deep hurting. You know what I mean? That's the truth. It hurt you. That's bad enough. So don't let anyone tell you that your hurt is more or less. It is still hurt. It is still painful. It is still something you look back on and you are embarrassed about. So anyhow, thank you for watching today. Again, happy Pride Month. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll have another coffee. We'll talk a little bit more. I'll find another story in my head. Probably something not as mortifying, maybe something that's more uplifting and loving. Maybe I'll talk about coming out to my mom. You know, that might be interesting. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Until then, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great afternoon and a good night. I hope your day goes well. Go home, get a cup of coffee. I don't know, we're having empanadas tonight, so get an empanada. Empanadas are great. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.